Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Sarita, and I have a candle review for you today, but it's really kind of a double candle review because I decided to add an Aldi candle to what is the major candle, which is Off the Vine by Bath and Body Works. So we're doing some tomatoes today. I did already review tomato from Yankee Candle. So Yankee Candle has a new tomato candle. I think it's called Sun Gold Tomato. And I just reviewed that like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. So yeah, that one was a pretty decent tomato candle, but I kept teasing that I had this Bath and Body Works one to review, and I do. Obviously, we're all in like a little bit of a tomato girl era. And as luck would have it, Aldi just put out a tomato candle as well. And it hit stores, I want to say like maybe 4 or 5 days ago. And so I really wanted to rush this review out. Generally, I like to burn a candle all the way down before I review it. But the way that Aldi candles go, I wanted to tell you about it as soon as possible so that if your Aldi still has a chance of getting it or having it, you would have a chance of maybe going and picking it out. And I do really highly recommend this candle as well. So let's start out by talking about Bath and Body Works. This was a release that was hyped quite a bit. I want to say it came out like maybe a month ago. This is actually a perfume conceptual. And I don't know if that was obvious from the very beginning. Given the marketing and given the branding, given the buzz, I think everybody just thought that it was going to be a very authentic, like tomato off the vine kind of fragrance. But then it actually ended up being a perfume conceptual that has a lot of tomato overtones to it. There's no question that if we all smelled this, if it had been marketed as a perfume conceptual, I think we would have all smelled it and been like, oh my gosh, it's like a botanical. Is it really a perfume? It's really more of a botanical. It's an amazing tomato fragrance. They should have marketed as a tomato fragrance. So I really think that some of the disappointment that came from some corners about this candle being more perfumey than was expected, I think that if it had been marketed as a perfume, we would have been saying the opposite. It goes right down the line of being, I think, at least 50% perfume and 50% like a really authentic botanical green vine kind of candle. I was surprised at how many people were disappointed by this candle. A lot of people that I respect as well, and I know that like Greg didn't like it all that much, Greg All About Candles. I don't think that Kent liked it all that well, although I have to say I don't know that it's Kent's wheelhouse in terms of fragrances. I don't know that it's like his favorite genre, so maybe that's not terribly surprising. But Virgil didn't like it either, and he knows a good tomato fragrance when he smells it. He actually developed one himself. I think it's called, what is it called? Scarecrow tomato? Virgil, I'm so sorry. I can't remember exactly what yours is called. Or is it more spooky? It's like a scarecrow tomato. It's a scary tomato candle. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Anyway, Virgil didn't like it either, but I don't think that he had the perfume conceptual frame of reference, I think, in his purview. And so again, I think he went into it expecting it to be a certain kind of botanical garden experience. And then it was like, oh, this has so much like amber and bergamot in it. For those that don't know exactly what the reference is, I'm pretty sure that the reference is a very bougie, cool girl fragrance by a bougie perfume company called Replica. And Replica has these like apothecary style perfume bottles with like this typewritten thing on it, trying to capture some sort of memory, place, time, etc. And one of the candles or one of the perfume fragrances in this collection is called, I believe, In the Garden. And In the Garden is a very perfume, like tomato fragrance. Tomato is one of the major notes in the fragrance, but it is, don't get it wrong, it is a perfume rather than a home fragrance or an authentic botanical or something like that. I mean, this is meant to be applied to your skin, and let's be real, it was marketed for women. So it is going to be like a women's perfume with strong tomato vine, tomato kind of overtones. Replica does these kinds of like bougie perfume concepts, usually targeting some space or moment or entity that's a little offbeat, maybe a little bit farmer's market or whatever else, and making it this like perfume moment. So Replica is very famous for this. This is one of Replica's more well-known perfumes. And to my nose, Bath & Body Works has duped it pretty well. I mean, to me, this smells like a fairly sophisticated fragrance. Sometimes Bath & Body Works will dupe sophisticated or premium fragrances, and it just is a little bit Bath & Body Worksified, if you know what I mean. It's like the generic, like low budget kind of version. Honestly, this perfume, this candle does not smell a whole lot less expensive than Replica. And by the way, Replica has put some of their perfumes into candle forms. I don't think that I have this one, although I do have a Replica candle that is a botanical. Oh my gosh, I should have like gone back into my like my stash of candles and saw if it is off the vine. Oh, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, when I do empties in a couple days for June, I will look and see if I actually have that Replica candle from In the Garden. And if I do, then I can make an even more informed compare and contrast. This is definitely a very high-end, complex, like perfume tomato plant conceptual. And it's fantastic. It really is. I just think you have to go into it and know what the frame of reference is and adjust your expectations. If you were really going into it wanting a botanical and that's it, hold the bergamot, hold the amber, hold the perfume, then you're going to be disappointed by this candle. I think if you went into it hoping for, and this really was kind of one of their single one-off standalone perfume offerings from Bath & Body Works this spring. If you were going into it thinking that it was going to be like Butterfly or something like that, you would probably be disappointed too, because you'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to smell like a tomato vine. And this did come out in all of the flankers, the body sprays, the lotion. It even came out as a perfume itself. So I think that if you are kind of like a Bath & Body Works perfumey girly, like, and didn't understand the tomato moment that we're in, didn't understand that this was a dupe of the Replica, I think it would also have been off-putting. And so I think there were just a lot of people in both camps, more than I thought there would be, frankly. And it just didn't get, I think, the press that it should have gotten for what is actually a really well done, off the beat, offbeat perfume botanical conceptual with amazing packaging. I think this is phenomenal. I really do. I don't know if you can see it, but the leaves are actually textured here on the jar. Look at that. Look at that. It's got this kind of like Polish ceramic kind of rustic look. Nothing to write home about with the lid. I think a red or a green lid would have been amazing, like one of those matte ones, how they did for the the Hispanic collection last time. That would have been really beautiful. Or the lids for the tropical collection that they just put out. That would have like taken it to that next level. But even without the nice lid, it's still a beautiful packaging design. All of the flankers looked phenomenal in this color. It was very appropriate. I suppose I should tell you what the notes are. The notes are heirloom tomato, garden geranium, and Mediterranean moss. Geranium is also a very trending note right now. And yeah, I do get a little bit of geranium, but I really think that it's more of a soft floral. And again, you are getting more like bergamot and amber than you're getting of anything else. So it doesn't have that really harsh geranium smell that I don't really love that much. However, geranium does kind of have like a funky, almost medicinal green kind of smell. And insofar as it's in this perfume, it just goes so perfectly with the tomato vine in a way of like kind of enhancing it and giving it a floral aspect without taking away from that vegetal, green, sharp, herbal kind of direction that a tomato vine usually goes in. It works really, really well for that geranium note. Yes, there is probably some moss in here as well, but insofar as Bath & Body Works' moss note is just kind of a little bit lush, a little bit damp, a little bit earthy, and a little bit green, it just, again, plays its little part here enhancing what is already a lush, green, damp kind of vegetal fragrance. So there's that. All of the notes here are very similar. There's nothing that is like really standing out except for that green tomato vine and then a really warm amber bergamot perfumey floral to kind of set everything off. It's a beautiful fragrance and it didn't perform badly. I burned it all the way down to the wick clips. Very minimal sooting. Look how clean that looks there in that jar. Burned fine, no puny wicks, nothing to write of. In the open concept for this candle, I think I probably got it up to about a 6.5, something like that. So it really held its own quite nicely in the open concept. I did take it to the back bedroom a couple times. I might have been able to get a little bit more out of it, but I wouldn't call this a back bedroom kind of fragrance. It's not that the perfume aspect wouldn't go into a certain bedroom area, but for me, it was just a little bit too heavy and a little bit too garden vegetable for it to be a pleasant fragrance in my back bedroom. And since it did decently in the open concept, that's where I kept it for most of its existence. As long as you're okay with a perfume conceptual that smells like a tomato vine, I think you're gonna very much like this candle. And to be honest, I think it should have done a lot better with its consumer base. I think it should have been much more of a hit and much more hyped than in fact it was. And unfortunately, there were just too many people who fell in both categories expecting something a little bit different and were disappointed. And so the candle just turned out being kind of polarizing, but I think it's fantastic. And I even thought the body care kind of smelled nice too. It again might be a little bit novelty though if you want to drench yourself in it. It depends on what kind of person you are. Even I was kind of like, ooh, do I really want a shower gel that smells like a green tomato vine? I mean, I don't know. But if you're one of those replica girlies, I would definitely check this out for a fraction of the price. Again, a very, very excellent dupe. I don't know that I would repurchase it because I just don't know that I like perfume conceptuals enough to burn this again. I would prefer just the botanical without the perfume aspect. And so in that respect, I do kind of lean toward one crowd that was kind of hoping for a more authentic, off the vine, dirty, soil rich kind of experience. I do love those kinds of green botanicals. It really wasn't that, but at the same time, I appreciate what it was And I think that in that category, it did extremely well. And given the success of that replica fragrance over the last year or two, given the trendiness of tomato and geranium, you can forgive the Bath and Body Works, front office for thinking that this was gonna be an absolute slam dunk. I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't myself, but I feel as though the reaction has been muted at best. Let me talk about a candle though. This one is from Aldi, and I am actually indebted to Philly Candleman. He was the one that posted this on his Instagram and said, oh my gosh, check out Aldi this week. This candle is great. I saw it was a fresh picked tomato. Usually I run to Aldi and mine is already sold out, Aldi has been a little bit hit or miss over the last couple years. They used to do a really brisk business in some rather unique and frankly, overperforming candles for the price point and for the fact that they're not a professional candle company. The last 2 years, they've really taken a step back. Their candles have been very sparse, their offerings very sparse, very limited, and frankly, very generic, not worth even the price point that they ask for it. But man, when Aldi lands, they land. And as I've said before, it makes you question all of your life choices. It makes you definitely question the amount of money that you spend even at a place like Bath and Body Works, let alone some bougier candle company where you're spending an enormous amount of money. For the amount of money that you would spend for one candle at Kringle or at Homeworks, you could get 8 Aldi candles, 9 Aldi candles. And when they land, like I said, it's just so fantastic. And when they land, not only is the fragrance correct and beautiful and sophisticated, but also the performance is good. And I have to say this candle is quite good. It is a little on the erratic side. As you can see, I haven't burned it all the way down. It does have a good deal of smut here. So I'm thinking it's a soy blend rather than just a straight up paraffin. So far, excellent, not a whole lot of sooting or anything like that. As you can see here though, I've got some dragging. I've got some serious drag because the last time that I burned it, it was puny. It was so puny. For hours and hours, it was "Argh." And it's the first time that it's been puny. I think I've probably burned it at least 7 times. So this is, fairly well into the candle. This is not my second burn, but 7 times into it, finally I got the puny wicks. I just let it do its thing. And by the time that I did blow it out, the flames were starting to look better. So I have high hopes that the next time I burn it, it'll be fine. Hopefully it's cleared that moment. As you can see, it's tiny grasshopper leg wicks a la Village Candle. Guys, this fragrance is it. I have burned now the Yankee. I have burned Bath and Body Works. Last year I burned Outdoor Fellow, which is kind of more of a bougier single 8-ounce kind of candle. I've burned one by Patty Wax. I always try to, I've burned one from Anthropology. So I really have tried to burn quite a few of these tomato candles over the years. This one is far and away my favorite so far, which is why I wanted to tell you about it. This is fresh picked tomato from Aldi. Friends, this is the botanical experience I was talking about. Could it be a little tiny bit mossier, a little tiny bit earthier? Maybe. It does kind of stay up in this sweeter range. It does have a very strong green tomato vine aspect, but it also has a pretty good tomato fruit element to it. And then if I'm not mistaken, it does have just a tiny bit of very high musk and amber, just to kind of blow the fragrance out a little bit, not for it to be perfumey in the way that the Bath and Body Works one is. So if you smell them in conjunction, this Bath and Body Works one is very obviously a perfume, whereas this one from Aldi is very obviously a botanical conceptual. There's just no question. There's just not enough amber or bergamot or musk in this candle for it to be any kind of personal fragrance. And that's what I love about it. Oh, it's strong. It's just It's literally not too savory and not too sweet. It's right down the middle, right down the middle. I think it will be very pleasing if you have any kind of interest in this kind of a fragrance. And I'm very happy to say that the performance, at least on several of these burns, was excellent. I have to say it was again erratic, which makes me again think that there's some soy in this because I started it out in the open concept and I really wasn't getting much out of it. I mean, like maybe a 2 or a 3. So I took it to the back bedroom and I was burning it there. Then the subsequent burns, there were at least 3 burns where I walked back there and it was an easy 6.5. Easy. In fact, I almost brought it back out into the open concept because I was like, well, you're doing so well. Surely that's got to be the equivalent of at least a 5 in the open concept, right? And it might be. I think you need to be like, I think you need to anticipate that this candle may not be from A to Z consistent. So you may have some burns that are stronger than others. And like I said, I've already had one burn that was kind of very small wicks. And as you can imagine, smaller strength and throw than usual. But when it was burning high and great, like I said, an easy 6.5 in the bedroom. I'm not sure that it's a bedroom candle. I will say that. However, I just think it's a fantastic tomato candle. It's the strongest one that I've experienced up to this point and the most pleasing and the most authentic. And so I have to give really high marks to Aldi. That being said, the strength and throw on the tomato candles that I have burned over the last couple of years have not been particularly high smelling or strong. So the bar is a little bit low on it, but Aldi clears it. And for a $4.49 price point, it's a yes, please from me. In fact, if I saw it, I would probably pick it up again. That being said, there were only like a couple of them left. This came out in a collection with s'mores, I think, which was fine. It's just not my wheelhouse. And then also there was one weirdly called dill pickle, and it was the green. Oh my gosh, there were like racks of those. I think those are gonna be a tough sell. It didn't actually smell like a dill pickle. It smelled like a very fresh cucumber, like a savory cucumber. I almost liked it. It just had this like aftertaste of almost like green chili. You know, like those green chilies in the little jar, in the little tins, you know, that you use for like Spanish and Mexican cooking. It had this weird like brassy, sour green chili kind of note. And I wasn't digging it, so it didn't bring home dill pickle, but I do highly recommend tomato. So there you have it. For this year, this candle, the Bath & Body Works one, which is Off the Vine, and then Sun Gold Tomato from Yankee. I have to say my favorite far and away is this Aldi candle, just no question. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. My second favorite is actually Sun Gold, because the Sun Gold Tomato one from Yankee, again, was not a perfume conceptual, which was a little bit of a pleasant surprise because Yankee Candle has been overdoing it with the perfume and cologne conceptuals, and so it would have been so easy for them to have gone in that direction, but they really didn't. The Sun Gold Tomato candle is not perfumey. It is a little sweeter though than this Aldi candle, less savory. It does have a true tomato vine note in it, but the like tomato aspect of it is actually more fruity. And for me, almost goes in a cherry strawberry kind of direction. Still nice, along with this like vegetal green vine note. Still very nice, but not quite as authentic or savory as this fresh picked tomato from Aldi. My third favorite does have to be Off the Vine, not because it wasn't very well executed for what it is, but just because I personally don't want a tomato vine perfume conceptual in my house. It just didn't hit the spot for me enough. It just didn't. What can I say? When you want a tomato vine in your house, you usually just want something super botanical. You want it to feel like the garden. You want to feel like late spring, early summer, or something like that. And I just don't know that a personal premium perfume gets you there in quite the same way. there you go, my friends. That's what I've got. I will link down below the Off the Vine, because if you can find one at Bath & Body Works, it should be very cheap right now in the semi-annual sale. And if you're interested in all in this Aldi candle, go right now. Run, do not walk. You may be able to catch one in your store. Let me know if you experienced any of these or have thoughts yourselves. I am gonna do an empties haul for June in a couple days, so definitely join me then. Sorry, my words have been all over the place today. Definitely not enough coffee this morning. I'll catch you guys in the next one.